earlier sessions, we have talked about the what is the organization structure and then how to plan the organization structure. Now, in this particular session, we will talk about the designing the organization structures, either the horizontal coordination and linkages, organizational design alternatives, the departmental grouping, functional structures, divisional structure, functional versus divisional structure, and as usual, we will discuss about the case study, research paper, book recommendations and references will be there. So, good buildings come from the good people and all problems are solved by the good designs are there. So, normally it totally depends on that is what type of the designing of the organization you are having. And in the previous session I have talked about that is the how that horizontal structure that making the communication better as compared to the vertical organization structures are there. So, whenever we talk about there is a problem of communication, there is a problem of organizational effectiveness which we have discussed earlier, and then in that case even if the organization is having the good people and the communication is not proper, designing is not proper, then the outcome will not be productive. So, therefore, here on basis of this particular statement and slogan we can understand that is the problems can be solved by the good designing of the organization is there. So, how to design the organization? Organization structure is used to develop how groups and individuals are arranged, either they are into the type of the people or are on the basis of the functions of the people. So, therefore, in that case it is a departmentalized to help meet an organization. So, whatever the group you are creating or the individuals are arranged, that should be designed in on the basis of the departments are concerned. It defines a reporting structure, jobs, compensation and responsibilities for the each role is there. Designing an organizational structure requires a consideration of an organization's values, right. Now, every organization is having the vision statement, mission statement and values of the organizations are there. Like for we know that is a Tata group is there which is known for is the ethical values, and therefore, in that case whatever the functioning process, practices, culture will be there, that will be totally ethical. And some organizations they are giving more importance on the ROI and the functional and the business goals are there. So, therefore, then of course, every organization has to look for the financial and business goals, but it depends on that is what are your means are there, the values are there, and accordingly it should allow for the growth for the organization and the ability to add the additional jobs other departments are there. Now, the designing in the structure it is very important. First you understand what is your business is there. Now, there are the many types of businesses. So, businesses we talk about the manufacturing services, manufacturing organizations, service organizations are there. Nowadays, we are talking about the industry 4.0. So, that is determines which type of organizational structure best fits your business needs are there. So, first you understand the organizational needs and then you plan to design your organization structure which will be the fitting for your business needs are there. Then establish the performance metrics and the compensation is there. So, therefore, once you understand that is what type of the business I am into the manufacturing or service industries, what type of the organization structure that will be fits into the my business needs are there. If I am having the only the local businesses or I am having the global businesses or I am having the businesses in a particular zone. So, accordingly each performance metrics will be established and then the compensation will be decided by the organization is there. Then there is a relational coordination is there, highest level of the horizontal coordination. Earlier also I have talked about there is nowadays the flat structures, organizations, the flat structures they are becoming very common. So, therefore, in that case when we are talking about the horizontal coordination is there, then when you are having the different departments, each department should have a better coordination among themselves. So, whenever you are having this type of this coordination, you will find that is your interaction is frequent, their problems are timely solved and then the proper communication is there. So, every theory and the practices which are having these horizontal communication are giving the high productivity. This relationship of the shared goals, that is the business goals, then the individual goals and the shared knowledge and the mutual respect is there amongst the different departments and the sections are there. So, here all these employees, those who are working, they are having the common goals, they are having the respect for each other and they are having the shared knowledge also. So, it is a part of the culture of the organization. So, organization becomes the knowledge sharing, and you can easily understand when there is a coordination and there is a relationship based organization structure, so then definitely the productivity is to be very high, because there will be the better communication and the problem solving communication will be there. Now, this becomes a practice, and when it becomes a practice, it converts into a culture is there. So, it is a web of the ongoing positive relationships are there. Every organization, if there is a proper relationship environment, culture, climate, then definitely in that case it will be giving you the that positive responses, and there will be the free flow of communication is there, and whenever there is a free flow of communication, we will find that it is becoming the more and more positive. Now, the employees coordinates directly with each other across the units are there. So, understanding is there, respect is there. So, definitely there will be the more and more coordination will be required, and the more and more coordination will be there. So, then less control will be required. So, when relational is high, people share information, they coordinate with each other, their activities are having the support for each other, and to have the bosses or the formal mechanisms telling them to do so. So, without having this type of this bossism culture, the organization will be functioning, and this type of the structures, they are making the bosses less organization, and therefore, nobody is boss, rather than everybody is a colleague, coordinator and the supporter is there. This type of the relational information, this type of the culture, when in an organization develops with the help of the horizontal organization structure, then you will find that it becomes a very efficient organization. So, organizational effectiveness nowadays is more supported in most of the organizations basically. Again, do not forget, I have mentioned that is the first you have to study your SWOT analysis of organization, that is what is the strength, weakness, opportunities and threats are there, which I have discussed into my earlier sessions. On basis of the analysis, you will decide that is whether you will go for the vertical structure or you will go for the horizontal structure, but these are the advantages of the horizontal structures are there. Now, these linkages, that is the cost of the coordination in time and human resource, and then the amount of the horizontal coordination is required. So, here you will find that is the highest coordination, relationship coordination is required for the high coordination, and the time and utilization of the time and human resources are there. When there is a low coordination and there is a cost of coordination in time and human resources is also low, then we have to make the more use of the information systems are there. In this information system, the leader, the manager, he has to play the liaison roles, and therefore, that relationship will be developed only when you are having the good liaising is there. You are focusing on the task performance, you are having the full time invigilators, and therefore, as a result of which you are creating the team. So, you are converting that group into team, and that it is a synergy or coordination. Through coordination, you are developing that particular task forces into a team force, and as a result of which there will be the relational coordination, and you will find that is the cost of the coordination in time and human resource that will be very high whenever you are talking about the high coordination is required. Now, the overall design of the organization structure indicates three things basically: required the work activities. So, unless and until you are not clear that is what tasks or activities are required. So, departments are created to perform tasks, and they have to consider the tasks strategically important to the company. So, therefore, in that case every department is broken into the number of the subsections, every subsection is broken into the activities, and every activity is a group of tasks. So, every task which is to be performed by the employee in the organization that has to be considered strategically. So, that right from this lower level management to the top level management, you will find there is a smooth flow of communication, because strategically it has become important. As organizations grow larger and more complex, so when we talk about the ALEs, large enterprises, so for the small, micro and medium enterprises there might be the less efforts are required for the coordination. But as your organization grow and it becomes the larger organization, then definitely in that case the task and activities they become more complex. managers find that is the more functional need to be performed, and as a result of which you are dependent on the number of people, number of departments, other sections are there. So, organizations typically define new positions. So, one coordinator will be appointed, one officer will be appointed, officer on special duty, OASD will be appointed. So, departments or divisions will be created, new departments will be created, new divisions will be created, and the way to accomplish the new task designed valuable by the organization is there. So, therefore, when I talk about this liaison role, so liaison role or interpersonal informational role is there. So, all these roles of a manager, they will create new positions. So, this will require to understand the departmental work activities. On the basis of the work activities, you will design your the organization structure. Now, the reporting relationship is there. So, reporting relationship often called the chain of command. If you remember, I have talked about the Fayol's principles of management, and therefore, it is the scalar chain of command is there. There will be the one boss, and the subordinates will take the orders from the single boss only, or there will be the represented by the vertical lines, or there will be the hierarchy will be there, and on organization chart, and the chain of command should be an unbroken line of authority, and that links the all persons in an organization and shows who reports to whom. So, therefore, in that case, in the case of the reporting system, whenever we are talking about the vertical organizations, they become more complex, and therefore, in that case you have to find out that is the who is reporting to whom, and as a result of which that scalar chain of command will be there. This particular line of the command will be there, and you will find that is the whenever you are talking about this particular scalar chain of command, you will be having the one person who is responsible and he is taking the decisions, and as per his decisions all functions or all activities are performed. So, as a result of which you are able to achieve the organizational goals. So, that holds up the persons in an organization and shows who reports to whom, and as I mentioned that is this productivity, efficiency, organizational effectiveness, organizational goals. So, all there will be the positive responses will be there. Now, here we will talk about the organization alternatives are there. So, options for the grouping employees into the departments are there. Now, this can be the functions wise, like here it is shown that is engineering department is there, marketing department is there, manufacturing department is there. So, departmental grouping affects employees because they share a common supervisor and the common resources, and are jointly responsible for their performance, and tend to be the identify and the collaborate with the one another is there. So, here this example like the CEO is there. Now, the CEO is having the engineering, marketing and the manufacturing departments are there, and then the CEO is having the product division 2 and product division 3, and then the CEO will be there who is having the marketing and management is there. So, therefore, in that case it is a functional grouping is there, CEO and the functional marketing and market. Divisional grouping is there, group division 1, group division 2, group division 3, or there is the you will find that is the we are having the grouping of the employees on the multi-forced is there, and therefore, that marketing, manufacturing, product 1, product 2 and like this is there. So, multi-product based is there, or there may be the horizontal grouping is there, and therefore, you are having the relationship between the different departments with the horizontally is there, and then the groups are formed, right. The group activities or group tasks are formed. So, departmental grouping options always focusing on the functional grouping. Traditionally, we find it is a finance department, marketing department, operation department, HR department, IT department, so quality control department and like this is there. So, therefore, it is a functional grouping is there. So, which place together employees who perform similar functions or work processes or who is being the similar knowledge and skills to be. The divisional grouping means the people are organized according to what the organization produces. Now, especially in the case of you will find that is about the IT industries. In the IT industries normally the groups are formed on the basis of the projects are there. So, many people are organized according to what the organizations produces or what the organizations the team building is there or what they are having that particular the project team, and on basis of that there will be the divisional grouping will be there. Or it can be the multi-focus grouping, means in an organization that is embraces two or more structural grouping alternatives simultaneously. These structural forms are the often called matrix, or the hybrid is there. So, therefore, in that case you will find there are the certain groups which are making these matrix or the hybrid structures are there. The options for the departmental grouping include horizontal grouping and the virtual network grouping is there. Horizontal grouping means the employees are organized around the core work processes, the end to end work, information and the material flows, and that provide value directly to the customers are there. And virtual network grouping is most recent approach to departmental grouping. With the grouping, the organization is a loosely connected cluster of the separate components are there, and therefore, in the virtual network grouping it has been become the grouping is there, but the organization is having the loosely connected is there. So, therefore, in that case you will find that is this type of the structure will be preferred for the virtual network grouping is there. So, in the case of this divisional grouping, multi-focus grouping, horizontal and the virtual network grouping is there. Functional structure, also called a U-form unitary structure, is there. Activities are grouped by the common functions and all specific skills and knowledge are consolidated at the one place, so centralized, providing a valuable depth of the knowledge for the organization. The promotion therefore, in that case is there for the economies of the scales, and these the slow responses to the environmental changes are there. So, prevalent approaches, but the few companies can respond in today's environment. Without horizontal linkages, while the some organizations perform very effectively with a functional structure is there. So, therefore, you have to see that is the you are having this particular structure which will be making you the more and more convenient while the some organizations they perform very efficiently with the functional structure is there. Functional structure is every structure, you see, is having certain strengths and weaknesses. Let us see the strengths and weaknesses of the functional structure. So, functional structure strengths are the allow economies of the scale within the functional departments, enables in-depth knowledge and skill development, enables organization to accomplish functional goals, and it is best with only one or a few products are there. So, therefore, it is the allowing the economies which will be making them the clear that is what is the best way where we can develop these particular products. Weaknesses are the slow response time to environmental changes, may cause the decisions to pile on top, and the hierarchy overload, and that leads to the poor horizontal coordination among the departments and result in less innovation is there, and involves the restricted view of the organizational goals. So, therefore, in that case on one side we are having these strengths which are making that is the more and more depth knowledge and the experts. So, therefore, the person, because he has been assigned a task or activity of his particular function for the number of years. So, therefore, he developed the expertise in that, and enables organizations to achieve the functional goals are there. It is only one or a few products are there, then definitely in that case it will working is there, because when we see the weaknesses. So, therefore, in that case they may be having the slow responses to the environmental change, because they are fixed, they are used to perform in a typical manner, and therefore, it will become very difficult to make the environmental changes. It leads to the poor horizontal coordination among the departments, and it involves the very restricted view of organizational goal is there, because they are highly concerned with the production and productivity, but not concerned with the overall organizational goal. So, here is the functional organization structure: president, then the R&D manager. R&D manager is having the design, development and testing, finance managers, accounting, purchasing and finance, marketing manager. Nowadays this is also called as a commercial manager, and in the commercial manager this purchasing and all functions are involved. Marketing managers are which are the sales and the customer service, division products are there, line supervisor, production team and the distributions are there. So, these are the examples are there. Now, in the case of these structures, then we will find out that is the you can also go for the divisional structure. So, also called an M form. Earlier the functional structure was called the U form. Now, this is called the M form, because it is multi-divisional and it is a centralized form is there. Product structure or strategic business unit structures are there, and divisions organized according to product, service and product groups. good for achieving the coordination across the functional departments are there. So, therefore, in that case, because these are divisional structures, so they will have the better coordination, and when they will have the better coordination, so across the functional departments they will be performed much better. Grouping is based on the organizational outputs and therefore, the giant complex organization such as General Electric, GE, Sony are subdivided into a series of smaller self-contained organizational or the better control is there, which will be making you suited for the fast change and the loses the economies of the scales. So, therefore, in that case it lacks the technical specialization. So, here the divisional structures, they are more focused on the coordination and working on the grouping based, while in the case of the functional structure it was giving you the more technical specialization is there. This is the sample chart of divisional structure. Their president is there, product A, B, C, D and administration, these are the different divisions are there, and in each division, like for example product A division, research, manufacturing, accounting, finance and marketing, customer is there. While in case of the product B, you will find research, development, manufacturing, accounting, marketing and customer, that is for the product B is there. Accordingly, there will be for the C and product D will be there, and the administration will be common, which will be having the HR, procurement, accounting to finance, PR, communications are there, training, safeties are there and the legal aspects are there. Divisional structure also have a certain strengths and weaknesses. The strength is it is suited to a fast to the usable environment is there. So, therefore, in that case whenever there is an unstable environment, you can make the use of your structure very easily. Leads to the customer satisfaction because the product responsibility and the contact points are very clear. That involves a high coordination across the functions, allows unit to adapt to differences in products, regions and customers are there. Based in large organization with the several products, and therefore, in that case you will find that is this type of the divisional structures are the best suited for the large organizations are there. Where the small organizations are there you can make because that is not the multifunctional and therefore, that will be the unifunctional or the unilateral functions. The decentralized decision making is there, that is a strength in the case of the divisional structures. While the weaknesses are eliminates the economies of the scale in functional departments, leads to the poor coordination across the product lines, and as a result of which the output is not there. So, even divisional structure is there, but lack of the coordination is there. So, therefore, there will not be the good output. Eliminates in depth the competence and the technical specialization, makes integration and standardization across the product lines difficult is there. Now, difference between the functional versus divisional structures. So, first we will take about the meaning. So, functional structure refers to groups of jobs. So, therefore, you can go for the groups of jobs. Other divisional structures refers to the grouping of jobs related to the one product under one department. Formation is there, it is formed on the basis of the function, it is formed on the basis of the product is there. Specialization, it leads to the functional specialization, it leads to the specialization is there, and especially it is becoming the divisional structure is there. So, it leads to the divisional specialization more, team specialization more. Responsibility is fixing responsibility for a particular department is difficult. Fixing responsibility for a particular department is the easy, because here you are focusing on a particular division and the division how it is performing, that you decide, on basis of that you can go for the output is there. Managerial development is there, managers become specialized in the one function only. So, there is less chance for the overall managerial development. So, here in the functional structure, because there is a focus is only on the one task. So, as a result what happens, that is a like we talk about the general manager positions. So, who becomes a general manager, who is having the knowledge of all the functions and therefore, in that case the functional structure will be there. The divisional structures will be there only. So, there is less chance to overall managerial development is there. Cost, it is economical as there is no duplication of work in the functional structure, but in the divisional structures it is not economical as all the resources are required by the each department is there. Suitability is concerned, it is suitable for such organizations which have a single product or the small number of the products are there, while in the case of the divisional structure it is suitable for the organizations which have the varieties of the products are there. Now, reorganization from functionals to division is there. Suppose you are having the functional structures and now you want to go for the divisional structure is there. So, you can make the structures like this. Here it has been given, it is becoming the infotech president is there, R&D, manufacturing, acquiring and the marketing is there. Now, in this case whenever we are talking about all these, so infotech department, electronics, publishing, the office automation and the virtual reality is there, and therefore, here you can find between these two structure difference. There is a functional structure which is based on these functions, R&D, manufacturing, accounting and marketing, and while in the case of the infotech president, divisional structure is there, electronic division is there, virtual division is there and office automation is the another one is there. Now, this is the case study Indian Yamaha Motors. In spite of the success of its power-packed RX 100 model in the 1980s, Yamaha was unable to keep up with the vehicles launched by its competitors such as Bajaj, TVS, Hero Honda. Even though RX 100 was a cult product with many die-hard fans, it failed to maintain its fan base in light of the 2-stroke and 4-stroke transition that was forced by the government in the early 1990s. In spite of the various attempts of rebuilding its reputation by launching new products, Yamaha failed. The company was forced to explore the option of acquiring managerial control, and so due to the vehicles to the losses it has been incurring since 2001. All efforts taken by the management of the company to prevent losses failed to make any difference, and the company continued to bleed. Its market shares which had been going downhill year after year reached on all the time of 4%. As a result of the company was forced to borrow huge amounts to stay back. It becomes difficult to Yamaha to reply these loans because of the continuous losses it was facing in its declining sales revenue. Because of the company's deteriorating financial health, the management was forced to plan a restructuring of its Indian operations. It became difficult for Yamaha to repay these loans because of the continuous losses and declining sales. So, therefore, in that case, since YMI's financial resources had been drained, what was required during restructuring was a restoration of its financial health by pumping in some money. Therefore, it was decided what an amount of 4 billion, that is a 2.32 billion by the parent company and 1.68 billion by the Mitsui Investment, a subsidiary of the Mitsui Corporation, would be infused into the company's capital. And the company believed the use of contemporary technology to create the new products would help it to redeem this market share. Thus, the financial resources received were put out to use this effect, and the management believed that a few marketing campaigns could help them to capture the market is there. The Indian operation of Yamaha had amazed loss of the 10 billion. In order to prevent the new company from starting its operation with a burden from the past on its balance sheet, the parent company decided to absorb the losses of YMI as a part of the restructuring process, and this was done with the belief that with no ghosts from the past, the company would be able to get back to its flourishing form by the 2009-2010, since it would be able to fully focus on the task of restructuring without any distraction or burden of the past is there. So, another important part of the restructuring strategy whose aim was to bring the chances to the production facilities involved a two-fold task. The first was to replace the 40-year-old facility at the Surajpur, Uttar Pradesh with a brand new one, and the second was to upgrade the factory at Faridabad concurrently, and that is another city. The factory at Faridabad was responsible for the production of engines and carrying out the machines and castings of the components. Under the restructuring plan, it was proposed that while this facility would be used to manufacturing the energies and engines and other components for these pen jobs. So, therefore, the new facility that would be used for the purpose of the bike assembly. It was further proposed that the 50% of the components would be manufactured in-house and the balance be produced through the vendors are there. The company had no intention of rationalizing the vendor base, and this step was taken with the belief that it would be the company to set a quality benchmark for the vendors are there. On the marketing front, that is the Koji director and chief sales officer of the company stated that the company aimed to increase the number of its dealers from 350 to 500 by the end of the year 2009. An amount of 8 million was dedicated to the process of restructuring. 30% of this amount was to be utilized for the purpose of developing new products, and the remaining was to be used by this restructuring of other business elements. Subsidiaries across the world have received support from the parent company in the developing competitive products by focusing on creating more fuel, more efficient motorcycles are there. This is the research paper which you can refer for your further studies, and you can find out what is the impact of the organizational culture, organization structure and technological infrastructure on process improvement through the knowledge sharing is there, and which I have mentioned in the previous session, that is by creating the horizontal organization structure you are creating the more knowledge sharing culture in your organization. This paper is talking about that particular research, and I am sure this research will help you to go further for in this particular direction. Now, this is a book that is a principle based organization structure by the Andy and Mayer, which will be helping you to understand that is the how engineering entrepreneurial thinking and team working into organization can lead to the success is there. These are the references, and therefore, you can go with through these references and find out that is the how the studies that can be making the understanding of horizontal and vertical structures, functional and the grouping structures are there. What are the advantages, what are the disadvantages by and how to make the organization designing. Thank you.